I'm Krista, and you're watching Amiens House. Today we are going to do a herb garden tour for the first time in 2022, and I'm going to show you how I use my roses, my comfrey, and my mint today. So welcome back. If you're new here, welcome, and anyone who was in my herb garden tours last year, welcome back. I'm going to give you a little tour. Not much has changed. I lost a lot of things over the winter, so I had to replant. So I did move a few things around, and I have some exciting stuff happening in the past, hopefully coming this year. So we'll give you a quick tour, and then I will show you what we do with our roses, our comfrey, and our mint. So I've just turned you around, and I'm just backing up a little bit so you can kind of get a whole view of the herb garden. I'll just give you a span of it. So eventually the plan is there will be a stone wall here that we will walk through that will look like it's always been here. Most of my boxes mirror each other. So this box and this box are very similar. They both have hyssop along this side, and at the very end there with the yarrow, there is hyssop. I've just planted this hyssop down here. This hyssop died and I have to transplant it. Over the winter it just didn't make it. Then on the outer edge of both of these boxes I have sage, and the sage is flowering, so I'll give you a close-up of that. It's beautiful sage. And then in the middle of this box is cilantro, and in the middle of that box is parsley. So although they're not the same herb, they look very similar and are nice and green when they're up. We've had a really funny spring, so things are really slow to get started, but we're just hit some heat after a lot of rain, so I'm hoping everything is just going to blossom now. My mugwort was beautiful and in the middle, and then we got a real downpour, and like last year, it is now spread everywhere. The comfrey, which is way over there, looks just as dreadful from the rain, but we're gonna strip it today and feed it to the garlic because it's an excellent fertilizer. In the middle here, all of my lavender died, so I've replanted it in all 4 of these beds. The calendula is doing well. I planted chamomile seeds in this bed. Nothing has come up, so I'll have to replant it. I planted holy basil in this bed, and as you can see, nothing has come up, so I'm gonna have to replant that. Over here, I have California poppies, and they're doing well. They're coming up. And in this bed, I have added bergamot or bee balm, whichever you know it as. So it's doing well and just starting. I can't remember if I bought red or blue, so that'll be a surprise. Then over here, these 2 beds mirror each other. So it has rosemary in the urns, and then it have the white alyssum, the same as last year, that's just gonna cover the whole thing and just be a nice white bed of flowers. I missed this bed over here. It has marshmallow root in the middle. That's what that big plant is. And then all of the chamomile that was in that bed last year seeded, but seeded in the path, and I didn't pull it out because I wanted it'll just die really fast. I was hoping it was going to be in the other bed, but it's not. So you can see in this path all over, there's not a single calendula plant in the bed. They're all on the outside, but that's okay. And then there's thyme in this bed. Okay, so back to the middle. So we're back to the middle with the bench at the back. These 2 beds over here mirror each other to some degree. There's borage at the back of both of them, and then this one has tons, and even in the path, tons and tons of baby borage. In the middle, I have planted passion flower in both of these. That one my husband bought, and this one these 2 I started from seed. And I'm really excited. So I'm going to build them something to grow on. I just have to get to that. This poppy was a volunteer, and I've left it. And then we have little wild violets along the front of those little plants. And then I've already showed you the comfrey. the roses at the back. This is the first year they flowered, and I'm so excited. We are gonna harvest the rose petals today and dehydrate them so that we can have some tea. And then we'll go back here. Back here is the echinacea. I did lose a lot of echinacea again. We had, if you remember, we had taken it all out and used it to make tincture. So some of them died and some of them are coming back. And I did plant some Boston ivy to go up the back and cover the fence. And for some reason I have a brick hanging there. I'm not really sure why. And then we come to these two beds where the yarrow is. So there's white yarrow in the front. Then we have the new hyssop that I'm going to transplant to the other side. And my catnip died last year, so I've had to replant that. And my lemon balm died last year, so I've had to replant that. Lots and lots of things died. And over here we have a mix mash of everything. So this is oregano, and it looks like it has something eating it. I will have to look into that. And in the middle I had two St. John wort plants in this bed. One was over on this corner and one was on that corner that came up out of nowhere. So I transplanted them both to the middle because there'll be a big bush, and I'm really excited about that. This is anise that tastes like black licorice, and it is so good, and it has something eating it too. I'll have to check that out. And then dill, lots of dill. And again, I have dill on the outside, so I have to transplant that inside. My feverfew did not do well over the winter, and I found when I was cleaning this bed up, I found these two tiny little plants. So I put them back here, and they're actually doing really well, and this one's gonna have flowers. So that's exciting. And over here is my lemongrass, just because. Because you have to have lemongrass for all the Thai food we eat. And then along here we have huge things of mint. This is a bed that needs weeding, lots of weeding. Should get a shadow. But there is skullcap in here, so that's what that is. And skullcap, and then more mint. So let's show you what we're going to do to harvest our roses. Okay, so we're here in the rose garden, and what you want to do is just pull off the rose petals, the newer ones the better, like this. And what you're going to do is you're going to take these home and you're going to dehydrate them. So the way you dehydrate them is you can dehydrate them in your oven at the lowest possible temperature, and you're going to have to check them often. I dehydrate them in my dehydrator at 95 degrees, and I did it for 2 hours, so it won't take very long in your oven. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put them in a jar, and you will shake them every couple of days just to make sure that they are dehydrated enough and you don't get any mold, and then add them to your tea. So you can make a tea out of them right now while they are fresh, and or you can add them to as dehydrated to your tea all winter. And they are great for your heart, and they are full of lots and lots of love. Okay, the boys are over here helping me with the Comfrey. So Comfrey is a great fertilizer, and it's an amazing pollinator. So it's a nice thing to have in your garden, and you can see it's prolific. It just keeps going and going and going, and it's huge. So you just take off the leaves, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna lay these leaves along the base of our plant. Alternatively, you can make Comfrey tea for your plants, which is allowing, you put the leaves in a bucket, a 5-gallon bucket, fill it with water, leave it, put a lid on it, leave it for 2 weeks, and then you basically are going to water your plants with that Comfrey tea. Be forewarned, it is the smelliest, grossest thing you have ever smelt in your life. If you have a really weak gag reflex, do not make Comfrey tea. You won't last. You will be sick. It stinks so bad. So that's what we're going to do with our comfrey to fertilize our garlic. Okay, the last thing we're going to use this visit into the herb garden is our mint, and we use mint for tea. And basically I'm just going to break off a piece. I'm going to throw it in my basket. It's really easy. You can use all of the aerial parts for your mint. You can make a fresh mint tea right away with these. You would just rinse them and then you would be good to for your tea. Or alternatively, you will bundle them up and hang them to dry, and then you would just chop this all up once it's dry, put it in a jar. Again, you shake it every day for 2 weeks just to make sure you don't have any wet spots in your dehydration, and that you will have mint tea all winter long. And mint is nice and refreshing, it's uplifting, it's beautiful with cucumbers and water. A warning about mint and anything in the mint family. So to know that it's a mint or in the mint family, the stem on the plant is square. So just have a check on any plant that you're going to put in to see if it's in the mint family. Anything that's in the mint family with a square stem will take over your garden. So that's why these are in pots, and even in the pots they have grown out and under the bottom and through the cracks. Mint will live and live and live and live, and it's lovely to have and it smells gorgeous, but put it in a pot for sure. Skullcap is in the mint family, it's in a pot too. So I hope that video was helpful today with the 3 different ways that I use the herbs that are in my garden, and you can see how things are just starting to get going and how I lost a whole bunch of stuff over the winter and I had to replant. But it's very exciting to see what's going to happen the next month. In the middle of July, you will see how much this has changed and grown, and we will pick another couple plants to talk about and show you how we use them in our home for either food or medicine. Thanks for joining us. I hope you took some time to simply breathe, and I'll catch you on the next one.